Welcome to Winter Wonderland with Snap and the SAP Young Thinkers. This video consists of 3 parts. The first part is an introduction to the Snap programming language for those of you who are snapping for the first time. In the second, beginner-friendly part, we'll program an interactive greeting card. The third part is a little more challenging but exceptionally beautiful. We program a snow globe. We encourage you to pause the video during the projects to try and explore everything we'll show you directly in Snap. We also created some activity cards that go along with the projects and explain how to share your results with others. And now, have fun in Winter Wonderland.
Hi, and welcome to the Snap programming language. What you're now seeing here is the Snap environment. Let me introduce some of its parts to you. In this environment, you should think of yourself as a theater director. The stage, represented by this almost empty box, is where the play is going to take place, where all the action happens. Actors will come in and out of the stage, but since this is a virtual world inside of your computer, we're not restricted to human actors only. Your play can feature animals, vehicles, or even inanimate objects, like vegetables or common household items. In fact, your actors don't even need to be physical objects at all. You could have a triangle and a square interacting in your play. In Snap, we call these actors sprites, which is a word that comes from the very beginning of video games. Okay, see this gray arrow here? This is our default actor, or sprite, and we call it the turtle, even though we know it doesn't look like the animal at all. Snap likes to reuse parts of other programming languages that we love, and one of these languages, called Logo, featured a triangle they called the turtle. Back then, computer graphics weren't as great as they are today, so really, a triangle was a pretty decent representation of a turtle. Notice how the turtle is currently selected, and its name, sprite, is shown right here. This indicates that this is the object that we, the directors, are currently working on. As directors, we can also decide what the stage is going to look like and give it instructions as if it was a regular object. To select the stage, we click on this icon down here. Notice how the interface has changed quite a bit, and all the items that were here have disappeared. You can always tell which object you're working on by taking a look at its name here, and also by looking at which object is selected in here. Okay, let's go back to the sprite. And let's see, we have you as a director, a stage where the play is going to take place, and a single actor or sprite, the turtle. The only thing missing is a script for the turtle, so it knows its part in the play. Scripts are built by means of these colored blocks that you can see at the leftmost column of the interface. They can represent actions, events, and a bunch of other things. As a theater director, you can give an order to a sprite by clicking on a block, like this. Let's click on the Move 10 Steps block, and look what happens with the turtle. It moves every time we click. See, this was the director telling the turtle, "Hey, can you please move 10 steps forward?" In computer science terms, we ask the turtle to execute the action move 10 steps. When the director tells the sprite to do something, the sprite will always do it right away. Okay, let's ask the turtle to execute other actions, like this one here. Turn 15 degrees. Nice! What if I want to tell the sprite to do 2 things in a row? Will I have to click on this block, and then this block, and then this block, and then this block? Well, the answer is no. This is a programming language, and programming languages are great at automating boring tasks. So what we want is to chain these 2 instructions together into a single script. To do that, we can just drag the first instruction to the scripting area, which is this empty gray space in here, and then the second one. And notice how, when I get close to the first block, a white line appears indicating that this is a possible attachment point. There's another attachment point up here. I'll choose the bottom one, because I want the sprite to first move, then turn. And when I let go of the block here, see how it snaps to the first one? Okay, now we've built a little script that asks the turtle to first move a bit, then turn a bit. Let's click on it to see what it does. Yay! But didn't we say programming languages were great at automating tasks? Now, we don't want to be clicking on this all the time. We'd maybe like for the turtle to do that by itself. Well, this is a job for the blocks under the control category up here. In this category we'll find blocks that modify the behavior of scripts themselves. Here we'll find blocks to perform repetitions, act on events, take decisions, and many others. And notice how there are all sorts of new block shapes in this category. Okay, so what we want is to tell the sprite to keep running these two blocks constantly. And there's a block in the control category suspiciously named forever. See how it has a slot in the middle with a little dent at the top? That indicates that it is accepting other blocks inside it. Okay, let's drag it out and take it all the way over the script. And notice how a yellow rectangle appears that indicates that if we release the mouse button now, this block is going to wrap the whole script. So let's release it here. Okay, and now let's try the script by clicking on it. Nice! And one more tip. To stop the script, you can always click on it again. Start. Stop. Okay, let's now take a look at another blocks category. The looks one, right here. One first thing that we notice is these few blocks at the top talking about costumes. Like in a real theater play, our actors can wear all sorts of costumes. They can be as crazy as you want, given that this is a virtual world. Let's first give our turtle a couple of different costumes. We can load costumes in several ways in Snap, and one of them is to use the built-in Snap costume collection. To open the collection, we click on the project menu, which is this icon right here, and we select costumes. Alright, this opened up a bunch of costumes for us to pick from. Let's make our play about mouse, for example. Here, I load this costume by selecting it and clicking on import. And also this one, which is just a slightly different version of the same mouse. We'll see why I did that in just a minute. So I select, import, and now I can close this window by clicking on cancel. Wait, but what happened to the scripting area and our little move and turn script? Well, now that I've loaded these two costumes, Snap has automatically switched to the Costumes tab. I can go back to the scripts by clicking on Scripts here in this tab. Okay, so everything's still here. Alright, so let's play a little bit with these two costumes. First of all, let's try to switch costumes by clicking on the next costume block here. That works, and it feels like we could use that to create a walking animation if, after moving and turning, we ask the sprite to switch costumes. Let's attach the next costume block into the already existing script, right here at the bottom, and click on it to start it. Wow, okay, so this is going way too fast. We can't even distinguish the different costumes. We should ask the mouse to take it easy, maybe by telling it to wait a bit before each repetition. Under the control category, we find a block called wait 1 second. Let's drag it and drop it right here. Now that's a bit too slow. Let's maybe try with half a second. That is 0.5 seconds. That's better, but maybe 0.2 seconds would be better. That looks much better. Okay, the animation would maybe be a bit more realistic if the mouse advanced some more steps per repetition. We can try with a larger number of steps in the move block. Let's try with, for example, 20. Yeah, much nicer. Okay, so what else can we have the little mouse do? It could maybe squeak when we touch it. We'll first need a squeaking sound, which we can record ourselves. Let's head over to the Sounds tab here. Let's click on this record button, and this will open a simple sound recorder. Alright, let's be silent now and click on the record button. Eee! Click on it again to stop it, and let's test. Eee! Okay, I'm not the best mouse impersonator, but I think that will do fine for now. Let's save the sound, and let's maybe also change its name to keep things tidy and understandable. To do that, we right-click on the sound item and select Rename. Let's name it Squeak and click OK. Right, so now let's head over to the scripting area. Go to scripts. We were going to have the mouse squeak whenever we touched it. For that, we can use this block in the shape of a hat. The one that says when I am clicked. Let's drag this one into the scripting area. And notice how the shape of this block indicates that we can snap blocks at its bottom, but not on its top. What this block is going to do is trigger whatever blocks we attach to its bottom whenever the condition is met. The condition is whenever we click on the sprite. Okay, and we want the squeak sound to play whenever we click on the sprite. So let's head over to the sounds category and drag this play sound block and snap it right here. Let's now select the squeak sound by clicking on this little arrow here and selecting squeak. And if we've done it right, clicking on the little mouse should make it squeak.
E! E!
And it does. Okay, now this should be enough as an introduction to the Snap environment and its basic capabilities. Now feel free to play around and test as many blocks and features as you want. Programming is all about exploration and tinkering, so don't be afraid to try anything you want. Thanks for listening and enjoy yourself.
Hi everyone! In the last video, Bernard showed you how to use Snap. In this video, we want to dive in right away. We want to start our first project and want to build a virtual, interactive greeting card. For that, we want to use 4 objects that do different things when we click on them or mouse enter them. Let me write that down real quick. I'll add a comment here. And here's what these objects are supposed to do. The first object is going to change its costumes. So it's going to create an animation by switching the costumes. I'll call that costume animation. The second one is supposed to jump. So we want to create an animation or a motion animation by moving the sprite up and down. This third object is supposed to sing something, for example, a Christmas carol. The fourth object will write something, for example, Merry Christmas. So those are the 4 objects that we're going to do for our Christmas card. And let's start with the first one right away. To animate an object with different costumes, we need costumes first. We have costumes in the file menu in the costumes library. In this case, it makes sense to choose costumes that differ slightly. So you can, for example, see a little motion or to create that animation. In this case, I want to use the creature. So the costumes are sorted alphabetically. Creature starts with C, so we have to navigate to letter C. Here we are. And here's our creature. To import a costume, you just select it here and then click import. And you be sure to import all of the costumes that belong to that one set of costumes. Now I have all 3. And if I'm done, I can just press cancel to close the costumes library again. I can now, so my object now has these 3 costumes in its wardrobe, and I can now switch between those by clicking on them. That's kind of nice, but the cool thing about programming is that we can automate things. So I don't want to click each time, but I want to automatically change the costumes. To do so, we'll go back to the Scripts tab. Right now we're in the Costumes tab here, and we will now go back to the Scripts tab to program our sprite so it changes its costumes. Blocks to do stuff with the costume or looks of a sprite are in the Looks category. Right, the second one here is the next costume block. Let me drag that over and click on it a few times. And you can see that it does what I've just did in the Costumes tab. It just switches between all the costumes. that's still not really programmed because I have to click all the time, so we didn't win a lot. How can we automate that? If we go to the control category, we can find loops. Loops are constructs that repeat things multiple times. So we have different ones, the forever loop, or the repeat 10 loop, or the repeat until loop that's based on a condition. In this case, we want to use the repeat 10. In this overly shaped slot, we can input any number. So for example, if we wanted to switch 3 times through our costumes, we could just repeat it 9 times because we have 3 costumes. And then I can just drag the next costume block in here. If I execute that now, let's see what happens. So we started with the throwing costume. Ooh, it's super fast. We end with the throwing costume. Let me click again, super fast. Again, super fast. The problem is the computer executes things, or Snap executes things as fast as it can. And that's cool for a lot of computation, but not really for animation because we can't see what's happening. So we probably want to add a wait block at some point. There's a wait block right here in the control category as well. And let me just add that as it is. And let's click again. Now we can see that the costumes are changing slower, but way too slow. So we might want to change the input here. 1 second is a lot. So maybe we'll do something smaller, 0.2 seconds. Let's try it again. We get a kind of smooth animation. So that's what we wanted. Now we still have to trigger it when we enter our sprite. To do so, there are so-called head blocks because you put them on the head of the script, so at the top of the scripts. You can recognize them by their wavy shape here, so you can't add other blocks at the top. You can just add blocks below. In this case, we want to use the when I am clicked head block. You can see that it has this yellowish input slot where you can't write things in like we did here, for example, but you also have that small black arrowhead that you can click. And this opens a drop-down menu where you can select different input options. In this case, we want to use mouse entered. So as soon as our mouse pointer goes into the sprite, the script is triggered. And when we enter or depart the object and enter it again, the script will be triggered again. So let's check that. Now I'm not entering it, nothing happens. I'm entering it, it executes its script. I'm leaving it, entering it again. So this works as we wanted it to work. Great. Okay, so that's already our first object. Costume animation works great. Let's move it somewhere to the side. And let's do the second object. To add another object, you can just click here on the Add a New Turtle Sprite button, and you get a new turtle sprite. The second one was supposed to do a motion animation, so we wanted it to jump. As you recall, you can also import costumes from your computer. So I prepared an Alonso Christmas version where he wears his Christmas funny Santa Claus hat. Ooh, that's kind of big. Let me make it a little smaller. That works from the looks category. And then again, let's go back to the scripts tab and let's take a look at the motion category. Jumping means changing the Y position or to move your sprite up and down again. We have a change Y by block here. So let's try it, maybe with something bigger like 100. If I execute it now, it will move the sprite 100 steps upwards. So 100, it increases the Y position by 100. Now we have to get it back down again. So let's change the Y position by -100 to move it at its initial position. If I put these together now and click on it, we have the same problem again. The computer is too fast and we can't see the results. So we could add another wait block, or we could just not make it in 2 steps, but add more steps. So let's not do the full 100 steps at once, but let's split it up in smaller parts by using a repeat block again. So let's grab the repeat block from the control category, and let's just not move 100 right away, but 10 times 10. So what we did now is, instead of one computation, we made it 10 computations, because we 10 times, or even more, because we have to change y 10 times, and that takes a little while. Let's also do the same thing for the downward motion. So 10 times -10 then. And now let's check what happens. You can see that you can now see Alonso moving. Again, let's add a head block. In this case, we want to use the when I'm clicked head block. So this one triggers whenever I click on Alonso. So now I click and he jumps. Let's check what the Yeti is doing. Yeah, that still works. And Alonso and the Yeti. Nice. So let's go to our third object. This is going to sing a song. So what about a Christmas tree that sings "Oh Christmas Tree"? Let's get the Christmas tree costume first. Again, we go to the costumes library. The tree starts with T, so it's pretty at the bottom. Let's scroll down. So here's S. And let's just use this one. And now we need to add a sound. So there are some sounds in the sounds library, but of course there's not Christmas carols. So let's record our own sound in the sounds tab. In the sounds tab, you only see that small sound recorder. If I click on it, it opens a sound recorder, and I can now record my sound. Let's do that. Oh Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. Christmas tree. If you click save, you have to listen to it again. Tree, how lovely are thy branches. And now you have that sound here. We can even rename it to Christmas tree. This especially makes sense when you have more than one, because then you can distinguish them better. And then let's go back to the scripts tab, and let's explore the sound category. In the sound category, there are blocks you can use on sounds. For example, you can just play the sound until it's done. So here we can select the Christmas tree song, and we can just play it. Oh Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. Or we can play it, or we can play it at a different playback rate. So let me grab this block and let me select the Christmas tree again. If I play it like that, that's just the original version. Oh Christmas tree. Okay, so that's enough for that. But you can see that you have a second input slot here. When you record a sound, it has a specific sampling rate. That means the number of sound units that you get in 1 second. That depends on the microphone, also on the computer that you're using, or the audio interface that you're using. Usually, or for my mic, it's something like 44,100. But we can change now the playback rate. For example, we could use only half the number of samples in 1 second. So our sound is supposed to get a lot slower, and also the pitch changes. So see what happens. Okay. Also, we can change it in the other direction. So let's just try the double amount of samples and how that sounds. Okay, as this is much faster, let's just use this one. Here again, we can just add a when I'm click block, and then we can click or play our sound whenever we click our Christmas tree. This also works together with the other strips that we have. Great. So now only our last object is missing. That was supposed to write Merry Christmas. So let's create one last object. And we can just keep the turtle sprite. And now we can explore the pen category, which is the dark green one here on the left. In the pen category, you can find blocks to draw. If you put the pen down, and you can draw everything your sprite moves. But in this case, we want to write something. So here's the write block, and it can write stuff. So this is hello in size 12. Maybe let's use something bigger. 30. And we want to write Merry Christmas. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. And if we write it again now, you see that we leave the stage. So whenever we start writing it, we need to take care that we're somewhere here on the left side of the stage. So let's add a go to block at the beginning. So the center of the stage is x0. So we need to go a little more left to the left. Let's try x minus 120 maybe. And we can check what our current y position is, 130, and can just use that. So let's see. Yeah, we started a little more to the left, but I guess that's fine. And now we can add these together and write it. So now you can see that I wrote on top of the other one. So let's add a clear block at the beginning as well. So the clear block is the first one in the pen category. Just drag it over and clear before you write again. So now nothing is changing anymore because I'm writing the exact same thing at the exact same position in the exact same color all the time. Maybe we can change the color each time we write something. To do stuff with colors, you have these 3 blocks here. You can either pick one specific color with the color picker. Also take care or make sure that you have a pretty bright color in the beginning. And also a pretty intense one, because if you start with gray, you will never get out of gray, even if you're changing the hue. So make sure that you have something in the middle here at the beginning. So let's try it with that red. And then we can use the set pen hue block to change and set new hues. The hues go from 0, which is red, and you can also see that in the turtle sprite, to 99, which is red as well, and then they start repeating themselves. So let's check something out. 30 is, for example, green, 50 is teal, and then let's maybe now try 70, which should be blue. Great. So we want to pick any value between 0 and 99 randomly. There's a block to do that in the operators category. It's called pick random. And I can input 2 numbers here. In our case, we want 0 and 99. And whenever I click on that block, or whenever that block is executed, I'll get a number between those 2. So in this case, I got 6, 73, 48. You see where that's going. I cannot only click on this block, I can also use it as an input to another block. So when I input that here in this input slot, this block will be evaluated and the result will go into as an input into that input slot. So let me drag that in here and let me click on it. And now you can see that here again in the turtle sprite, that the color changes randomly. So let's add that also before our writing statement here. And now whenever we execute that, we get Merry Christmas written in a random color. And again, we're missing the head block. So here we can again use for example, use the when I mouse entered. So I can mouse enter this now, and I get a Merry Christmas in a different color each time. So those are the 4 objects that we wanted to do. And now let's create a little Christmassy, wintry atmosphere for them. For that, we can go to the stage sprite here at the bottom and change the background. So here you now have a background tab, And let's just draw something. So we want a wintry landscape with blue skies. I can just fill that here, and then let's add some snow maybe. That's white. The brush a little thicker. And then I'll just draw something here. And this is my snow, and I can fill that as well. And then you could also add some clouds or whatever you like, a sun, more snowflakes. And if you press OK, your background will be added to your scene that you created. And now all your objects are in their Winter Wonderland background. So let's try them once more. And now it's your turn. All of them work, and now you can find out what else you want to do, how you want to combine them, and then who you want to give your virtual card to. Have fun, and Jens will program a snow globe with you in the next video. Bye!
Hi, welcome to the holiday season. Welcome to Winter with Snap. Today I'd like to show you a little fun interactive activity that you can do at home or in class. It's a snow bowl. Let's make a snow bowl. In Snap, we first want to make the stage like a night sky. So we're turning to the pen category, and we drag out a set background color block, and I'm going to choose a dark bluish color. Click on it once, and now my stage is night blue. Now let's model a storm, a flock of snowflakes. And if you look at how actual flocks of birds are working, it's a little complicated. I'm going to show you a little trick how to model the visuals in an easy way, because we're not interested in exactly simulating a flock of birds. We're more interested in the visuals. So we're going to start with a leader sprite. And what the leader is going to do, it is going to point in a random direction every time we start the script. And then it is forever going to move a little, and it is going to bounce off the edge. But as it is moving, it will always change the direction slightly in a random way. So we're making a turn, and we're going to say a number between -20 and +20 degrees. So let's check this out. So now our sprite is kind of doing a random walk across the stage, actually never leaving it. Now, to make this more interesting, we're going to add the concept of wind. So I'm going to stop the script and make a variable, and it's a global variable for all sprites that is called wind. In the beginning, we're going to set the wind to a number, let's say to 30. And then at every step, the sprite will move whatever the strength of the wind is. So it's going to start out with 30, but then it's going to slightly decrease the speed. This is something that is called a decay, and it works by multiplying the wind with something that is not quite 1. So we're going to set the wind to the wind times something that is slightly less than 1. So this is 0.996 is something that I like. And here you can see the watcher of the wind. So let's try this. It's starting out very fast, and you can see the wind strength decaying. It's getting less. And as the wind is getting less strong, the sprite is moving less fast. And now, eventually it'll come to a stop. And if we want to again increase it, we can again set the wind to 30, to make the leader sprite fast again. That's kind of half of the trick. Now we have a single sprite. Now what we want to do is we want to have snowflakes that follow our leader. Let's do that. I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to hide the wind variable, and I'm going to draw a new sprite. So I'm clicking on the Paint a New Sprite button, and I'm starting Snap's paint editor, and so I want this new sprite just to be a ball, just a little dot. So I'm choosing the ellipse tool, and I'm making it all white, and I'm just drawing a little white circle. It's barely visible because it's white, but you can see it here. So now I have a white ball sprite, and I'm calling this a flake, a snowflake. Okay. We can also add another costume. So I'm going to the Costumes tab, and I'm clicking on the paintbrush to draw yet another costume. And I'm again opening the paint editor. I'm kind of slightly reducing the line width to 3. I'm choosing the line tool. I'm again making it white, and I'm drawing something else, like I'm drawing a vertical line, and a snowflake is actually a 6-fold symmetry, so I'm drawing kind of this little star. Now I have another costume, one that is a ball and one that is a star. So now let's model some behavior. So as the leader is moving around, that snowflake should follow it. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make it so it doesn't rotate, and you'll see why in a minute. So we want the snowflake to point towards the leader, and then we want it to move in the direction of the leader. But so in order to do this, we want to move at different speeds. So we're going to make a variable that is called speed, and we're going to set the speed to a random number, and kind of the lower boundary could be something very slow like 2, and up to whatever the wind is. So some will move fast and others will move slow. Now when we have lots of snowflakes following something, we don't want them to end up all at the exact same spot. So we're going to add another element of randomness. We're going to turn them slightly so they slightly miss their target. We're going to turn them in between -5 and +5. And now we want it to move to the leader, but to also slightly miss it. So we're going to repeat a number of times, and what we want to do is we want to move whatever the speed is. And so we're going to divide the whole distance to the leader by the speed. And in order to add yet a little more randomness, we're going to slightly overshoot it, and we're going to multiply it by 1.3. Let's actually check this out. We're starting the leader, and we're starting the follower. Oh wait, we need to add a forever block. So let's again start the leader and start the follower. So you can see the follower always kind of missing the leader, and sometimes moving fast and sometimes moving more slowly. And eventually it'll home in on the leader. Now we're almost done. Let's actually make a bunch of these. Let's make many of these. So we're going to say every clone is going to do this. So when a clone starts, it will do that. We're also going to make a bunch of clones. Let's actually make very many clones. Like, let's try 1,000 clones. And 1,000 times create a clone of myself. And we're going to switch to the next costume. So we're getting some that are shaped like snowflakes and some that are ball shaped. And we want all of this to happen at a single instant. So we're warping this. And all of this should happen when the green flag starts. Also, when the green flag starts, we want the leader to start jumping ahead. Let's try this project the way it is now. So we get 1,000 snowflakes following a leader. And it's already beginning kind of to look like a snowstorm. Except it's a little bit too crowded. So let's change some of the settings here. I'm going to stop it. And we can add some more randomization. When a clone starts, we can let it assume a random size. So we're going to set the size to a random number in between, let's say, 10 and 60. And we can also add a random ghost effect. So we're going to set the ghost effect. We're also going to make it pick a random number of, let's say, 20 to 80. Let's try it now. Now this looks much better. We see snowflakes at different alpha values that makes it almost a little bit like a 3D appearance. Now basically the only thing that's worrying me here is that we still see this leader crawling here, and here we see the original snowflake that is still visible. How about we just hide it? I'm going to stop this project. I'm going to say the leader should always be hidden. So I'm going to hide it right at the beginning. Also, I want the snowflake to be hidden. So when the green flag is pressed, I'm hiding it. But whenever a new clone is made, that should be shown. Now what we should be getting is a nice swarm of snowflakes. Let's check it out. Now we don't see the leader anymore, and look at that, it's almost like some magic is happening. There is a snowstorm happening on my stage, and you can see the speed gradually decreasing, decaying. It starts like very fast, and now it is getting less and less. So how do we make this interactive? What would be a fun way to make the wind pick up speed again? Now remember, the leader, we already have this block. We need something to trigger this wind to be strong again. Now wind is something we can make with our mouth. So I could, for example, blow into my computer. Wouldn't that be great? Look at that. In the sensing category, we have the microphone block, and there is a microphone volume. Now, I can check the microphone volume here, and it's a number. It's how loud I am speaking. There's a microphone right next to me. So if I blow into the microphone, I can see it getting louder, and you can hear it. So I can say, if the loudness of my microphone is greater than a certain value, let's say greater than 50%, we're going to set the wind to 30 again, and we can place this right into the forever loop. Let's try it. I'm going to blow into this microphone. You see what's happening? The wind is picking up again, and the snowflakes are all turning wild together. So we've made ourselves a little swarm, a little Christmas bowl. You can now kind of try different things, and to make this even more beautiful, for example, one thing that I like, since it's Snap, I'm going to duplicate this snowflake. So now I have a second one, and I'm going to delete these costumes from my second duplication. I'm also just going to make 12 of these, and they're just going to have a single costume. And I'm going to name this Alonzo, because I'm going to import Alonzo. So I'm going to open a costume and look for Alonzo. And here's Alonzo. So I'm importing Alonzo. And since Alonzo is a little big, I want to make the size smaller, so 10% to 30%. Just 12 of these is enough. Let's turn this up to full screen and check out our Christmas holiday season Alonzo Snap Snowball. I'm starting it. And we should be seeing lots of snowflakes. And a dozen Alonzos in the snowstorm on my stage. And there is wind, there is swirl, it's a swarm, it's a murmuration almost. And it's getting slower and slower. And it's like, if nothing happens, the wind comes to a standstill. And now, in order to make it pick up speed again, we're going to blow into this. And you can see it picking up speed again. Here's a project, a quick project about a swarm of snowflakes. Have fun and have a happy holiday season.